Man, oh man. Hooey. Shalom, everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome back to Reading with Shiloh. What's up, baby? How y'all doing, man? I hope everybody is doing wonderfully. I'm back at it. Been very sluggish the last couple of days, but welcome and happy feast of unleavened bread. Happy feast of unleavened bread. We've been going through Passover and the feast, so I really haven't been reading. I really have not been reading. But it's time to get back at it, though. It's time to get back at it. I think I've been bullshitting long enough. And we are at part 11. This is part 11 of Africans in Colonial, Louisiana by Miss GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall. It's part 11, man. You know, it's time to get back rowing. I've been drifting. Drifting and bullshitting long enough. Let's get to rowing. We are in chapter 5. We're going to pick up today and start chapter 5, which is French New Orleans, technology, skills, labor, escape, and treatment, man. Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, man. It's not that I don't feel like reading. I feel like reading. I want to read. I just don't feel like other shit. But I need to break that. And get off my ass and do something. So that's what we're going to do. Get off our ass and do something. And since I have breath to breathe, and I have all I need to succeed. And yes, I do. I have all I need to succeed. So I must succeed, man, whether I want to or not. I must succeed. Man. Oh, man. 5 something in the morning, man. I've been up. I should have been read. But I didn't want to get up out the bed. I didn't want to get up out my bed. I was bullshitting. I was bullshit, man. Laying down when I could have got my ass up and read. Man, I be waking up, man, about like 3:30, man. I be waking up at 3:30 just laying there, thinking. When I could be up reading. Shalom, how you doing? Adriana, how you doing? Welcome to Reading with Shiloh. We out here. We out here. You out here with me today before the sunrise. Well, we're about to read about Miss GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall. We're going to pick back up in Miss Hall's book. Africans in Colonial, Louisiana. Oh, shit. You know, we had been moving pretty decently. We had been moving pretty decently. Shalom, Sak. Shalom. We had been moving pretty decently before I took a hiatus for a couple of days for Passover and the beginning of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, but it's time to get started again. Chapter 5 is going to be a lengthy chapter. So it's definitely going to take us a couple of sessions to read. We're going to read for about an hour. But before we get to reading, man, let's do some workout. Hey, shalom. And my eyes is blurry right now. Poop lizard. Shalom, poop lizard. Shalom. Yeah, we're going to get going and rowing through the sea of pages. This sea of pages, man. I really want to hurry up and finish this book. But let's go ahead and get the routine going. We're going to work our body. The routine, if you didn't know, if this is your first time here, welcome, everybody. Welcome back to all my subscribers who have been here on a decent routine. on a regular, I mean. So the routine that I try to give, or that I've been trying to be consistent with, is work your body, work your mind, and work your body unless I'm in pain, unless I'm hurting, or something like that. And it's been a couple of times I've been that. So we're gonna try to do something, just get off our ass and get a warm up going, get your heart pumping a little bit. Just do something, do something. You can't see improvement without doing something and making some movement. Um, Also, if while reading the book, if there's any words that I don't understand or, don't know, I'm most likely going to look it up. I'm most likely going to stop, pause, look up the words, see what it means, try to get a better understanding of the word. So that way we can move further along in the book with with just an easier understanding of what's trying to be said by the author, which is Miss Gwendolyn Midlo Hall. Some of these, a lot of the words that's in the books, within the books, this book specifically, is a lot of French stuff. So we're gonna most likely be trying to look up some French shit. Some of it I can remember, some of it I don't. Some words are the same words as were in the last couple of books that we have assassinated. So we're gonna keep moving to assassinate this. So let's work out right quick, man. I'm gonna do like 100 leg raises or whatever. We're about to do that right quick. 100 leg raises, push-ups. I think we could do that. I think that's good enough for today. We'll at the beginning, and we're gonna do it at the end, so we can hurry up and read. Hurry up and read and get going. Overall, the live will be about an hour. We're gonna keep it at about an hour, and we'll keep moving. We'll keep moving with that, and then, as long as I'm feeling still good, I'll come back after that, do another live and do rising scripts. Hopefully before the sun starts rising, I can get that one in. We'll see. But let's get the workout in, man. Get off your behind. I ask of you, get off your behind. If you choose to tag along and do something. Do something. You don't have to do what I'm doing. Just do something. Get your body moving. Get your heart pumping, man. Let's try to burn some of the calories and fat that's on it. If you like me, you want to get rid of some of that chub, some of that chubbiness. So I'm gonna get on this floor and do something. I'm gonna get on this floor and do something. You do something. Jumping jacks, whatever it is. Do something. Oh man, just do something. And let's get going. Let us get moving. Move your body. Move your body. Lottie-dottie, everybody. Move your body. Oh, shit. Man, I rock with it like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come on. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 7, 8, 9, 50. Oh, wait. 50 of them bad boys. Whew. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Oh, 17 of them. What's 50 plus 17? 67, 67, 68, 9, 7, 1, 2, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. 1, 2, 3. I feel it in my abs, which is where I want to feel it. 80. 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90. 90. Oh, shit. Almost there. 10 more, and we 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, shit. Let's get 50 right quick. 25 up, 25 down, and we're going to move. 25 up, 25 down, and we're going to move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 20, 24, 25, 5, 20, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 14, 13, 11, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we done. Let's read now. All right. Man, it's been a minute since I did some push-ups. It's been a minute. All right, let's read now. Exercise out the way. I ain't gonna lie. Even though I don't be wanting to do it, I need to do it. And once I start doing it, I feel better. Once I start doing it, I feel better. Something is better than nothing. Let's get it. Part 11. This is part 11 of Africans in Colonial Louisiana. Part 11 of Africans in Colonial Louisiana by Miss GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall. Chapter 5. French New Orleans, technology, skills, labor, escape, treatment. Whew. New Orleans, the capital of Colonial Louisiana, was founded in 1718, and its location was chosen for strategic reasons. And it is about 125 miles from the mouth of the winding Mississippi River between the river of Lake Pontchartrain, a shallow lake that leads into Lake Bourg, and thence into the Gulf of Mexico. At English Turn, several miles south of New Orleans, the Mississippi River swings eastward, leaving the narrow track of mostly tidal wetlands between the river and Lake Bourg. Let's see if I'm pronouncing it right. I've never heard of Lake Bourg. Or is it Bougny? Lake Bougny. Lake Bourg, Louisiana. Lake Bourg, Louisiana. Not Lake Board. B-O-R-G-N-E. How do you pronounce it? Lake Bourg, Louisiana pronunciation. Lake Bourne. It's pronounced Lake Bourne. New Orleans was retrieved from the swamps, and the swamps remained all-pervading in and around the capital throughout the 18th century. An enormous amount of labor was required to rescue the capital from the swamps and to try to keep the waters of the Mississippi River at bay. Now, crops and buildings were often destroyed by flooding, and ships arriving at Belize at the mouth of the Mississippi River had to be unloaded so they could pass the sandbars and then reloaded to continue their voyage to New Orleans. and docks, warehouses, watercraft, public buildings, churches, homes, barns, storage sheds, slave quarters, rice paddies, and indigo sheds, and equipment had to be built, maintained, and rebuilt after they were destroyed by floods and hurricanes, which is still the case today, The French settlements of the lower Louisiana stretched in a narrow belt along the Mississippi River and the major bayous leading into it. The masters' homes and storehouses and the slave quarters were located near the river and the major bayous. Crops were planted in the rich alluvial soil, and land was distributed in arpents, about 183 linear arpents, about 183 linear feet, measured in front footage along the waterways. Arpents, A-R-P-E-N-T-S, arpents. Arpents. Not arpents. Arpents. You said armpits. Arpents. Arpent, an Old English unit of land area equivalent to 3,420 square meters, about 1 acre. So land was distributed in acres, and 1 acre, about 183 linear feet, or 3,420 square meters, about 1 acre. The standard measure of land in those areas settled during the French regime and in the use until the 1970s. A unit of linear measurement equivalent to about 190 feet used in New France. Arpents. Land was distributed in arpents, about 1 acre, of about 183 linear feet, measured in front footage along the waterways. And property lines went back vague distances, trailing off intermediately into cypress swamps and woodlands. Each plantation had its dock for loading and unloading and transporting goods and supplies along the waterways. And boats had to be rowed all the way to the Illinois country up the Mississippi River against its powerful and treacherous currents, avoiding sandbars, whirlpools, driftwood, and hostile Indians. Now, these boats brought soldiers, supplies, Indian trade goods, arms, and ammunition, and came back with cargo of flour, pelts, and returning soldiers. All kinds of labor, especially skilled labor, was at a premium. And while the Company of the Indies sent skilled workers from France, few of them survived. And in the spring of 1721, Benneville and Delorme wrote, "Death and disease are disrupting and suspending all operations, and if the famine does not end, all is lost. And the best workers are dead. It has been claimed that the French settlers wiped out by the Natchez Indians in 1729 were far above the usual run of immigrants of that period. And among these people were artisans and agriculturalists of the class sadly needed then in Louisiana. Now, the survival of French Louisiana was due not only to African labor, but also to African technology. And the introduction from Africa of rice seeds and of slaves who knew how to cultivate rice assured the only reliable food crop that could be grown in the swamplands in and around New Orleans. And rice is still a staple in Louisiana today. It's still a big staple. Converting swamps and tidal wetlands into rice paddies involved complex technologies. And Oriza glabarina, a species of wet rice, was first domesticated along the middle Niger, or Nigger, probably, during the second millennium BC, and independently of Asian rice. There was a secondary region of domestication that intensified its productivity, and it was located between the SHALOM and the Casamance River, which empties into the Atlantic between the Senegal and the Gambia rivers. Now, by the 16th century, residents along the Gambia grew rice in the alluvial soil using a system of dikes that harnessed the tides. And by 1685, every house had rice nurseries nearby, and the riverbanks had been transformed into causeways with rice appearing above flooded fields. This wet or swamp rice had a much higher yield than did the dry rice. And a large supply could be grown in a small area. And the transformation of swamps into rice fields required a great deal of knowledge and skill as well as labor. Now, large dams made of earth and wood were built along the riverbanks, and their heights depended upon the tides in particular areas. Valves made of tree trunks, narrowed into a cone at one end, were fitted into the dikes. And these valves allowed water to drain outward only. Now, the valves closed against seawater on the outside and drained excess rainwater from the paddies when the water reached the height of the drain. And in tidal wetlands, the rice paddies were left follow, F-A-L-O-W, follow The rice paddies were left fallow for the first few years to allow the accumulated rainwater to reduce the salinity of the soil. Fallow, F-A-L-L-O-W, fallow, F-A-L-L-O-W. Fallow. A farmland plowed and harrowed but left unsown for a period in order to restore its fertility as part of a crop rotation or to avoid surplus production. A fallow. Now, there has been considerable speculation about the influence of African technology and African slaves upon the introduction, the cultivation, and the processing of rice in South Carolina. Now, the case for introduction from Africa into Louisiana of rice and its techniques of cultivation and processing is much stronger. The captains of the first two ships that brought African slaves to Louisiana in 1719 were instructed to try to purchase 3 or 4 barrels of rice for seeding and several blacks who knew how to cultivate rice, which they were to give to the directors of the company upon the arrival in Louisiana. Now, by 1720, rice was growing in great abundance all along the Mississippi River, and within a few years, rice was exported to the French West Indies. By 1721, the Coley concession in the Capitola's coast, just north of New Orleans, produced 600 quarters of rice from 14 quarters that had been sown. And this concession had 46 black slaves and 2 Indian slaves, and the production of rice quickly expanded. An advertisement for a lease for the Paleho plantation provided that the lease was to leave 6 barrels of rice in culture and 16 barrels of rice or corn for victuals. Now, settlers near New Orleans contracted to furnish 100 barrels of rice and straw to the king's warehouse for 4 francs, 2 souths a barrel. Now, in French Louisiana, there was always rice. It was cultivated in and around the capital, and heavy rains and floods that destroyed corn and other crops often spared the rice. And when Indian warfare forced settlers to flee the countryside, when maritime shipping was cut off, when flour did not arrive from the Illinois country because of the ice blockages or warfare along the Mississippi, there was rice. And William Perry, an English sailor, hailed in New Orleans in 1758, reported that English ships had taken a troop ship from France and all but one of 16 store ships laden with provisions and ammunition headed for New Orleans. Now, there was a great scarcity of provisions, then flour, and every other sort but rice, of which there were plenty. Maybe that's why we eat rice so much down here. Rice and gravy is a big staple in Louisiana. Rice and gravy. Rice was sometimes exported to the French islands and to the Spanish Pensacola. But this did not mean that the slaves and poor settlers always got rice. And after a storm destroyed some stored rice, there was a shortage and officials stockpiled rice in the warehouses to keep the price up. Now, the hoarding of food and other merchandise by several directors of the company, who then sold the goods for exorbitant prices in the town, was leading to a mass exodus from the colony. Now, Salmon concluded, a large number of small settlers and workers are asking us for passage to return to France. And if I had agreed to their demand, the colony would be deserted. Salmon reported that famine had led to several thefts by blacks, including 2 committed by the slaves of the former governor Perrier. Now, these 2 slaves had broken into the storehouses of the king during the night and were caught with sacks filled with rice that the king had brought from the Company of the Indies. And although it was said that under the Code Noir they deserved death, the Superior Council of Louisiana concluded that if we hang all the blacks who steal, not one will be saved from the gallows, because they are all more or less thieves. And on the other hand, they concluded that they only stole so that they would not die of hunger. And Perrier's manager was blamed for these thefts because he did not feed the slaves, and rice was selling for 180 livres per quarter. Now, which was expensive even for the poor white colonists. And the Superior Council, the colony's governing body, self-righteously proclaimed that this was no excuse for letting the blacks die of hunger. The 2 slaves were condemned to the lash and to be marked with the fleur-de-lis, which everybody wears so freely today because of the saints. The fleur-de-lis. Let me see if I got one. If you don't know what a fleur-de-lis is. All right, here we go. If you don't know what a fleur-de-lis is, this is what they were branded with. The fleur-de-lis, the symbol of Louisiana, the fleur-de-lis. Brand your ass with the saint symbol. See, and I bet a lot of people don't even think about those things, you know, how the saint symbol is the old slave symbol. Indigo grew wild along the rivers of the Senegambia, where it was processed into a vivid blue dye with which cotton cloth was colored. Indigo grew wild in Louisiana as well. And in 1712, a settler noted that the existence of wild indigo in Louisiana, but stated that neither the few Frenchmen settled there nor the Indians understood its preparation. And while it has been claimed that techniques for producing indigo were first introduced by the Jesuits in 1727, this date is too late. And experiments in processing wild indigo began in 1721, 2 years after the arrival of the first slave ships from Africa. Indigo was also, when we read about, let me mark where I was. When we read the other books about the Haitian Revolution with Toussaint Louverture, indigo was also, along with sugarcane, which is also a big export from Louisiana, that indigo was also a big export crop from the islands like Haiti, I believe also Guadeloupe and Saint Martinique as well, along with Louisiana. It is reasonable to conclude that African slaves with long experience in processing indigo in Africa first introduced and applied this technology in Louisiana. And it was not the cultivation, but the processing of indigo that required knowledge and skill. The plant grew 2.5 feet high and was harvested twice a year. And it was cut and brought to a 20-foot high open shed and was processed through 3 vats arranged to allow water to run from one to the other. Water and indigo leaves were allowed to rot in the highest vat, and which was frequently inspected. And the indigo marker had to choose the precise time to open the spout and to let the water run into the second vat. If it remained too long in the first vat, the water would turn black, and the indigo was beaten in the second vat until the indigo marker, through long experience, through long experience, knew when to stop. The water was then allowed to settle, and the indigo formed a sediment at the bottom of the vat. And as the liquid became clear, it was run off in gradual stages through spouts placed one beneath the other. The remaining liquid seeped through the cloth, and which was then dried on the boards and cut into little squares, packed into barrels, and shipped to the French islands, which would be Haiti and Guadeloupe and St. Martinique, the French islands, and then to France. And by mid-century, a cultivated variety of indigo imported from the French West Indies was in use. And while there were up to 4 crops a year in the French Caribbean, there were no more than 3 in Louisiana. And the indigo, so this is a picture, and it's simulating what we just read about the different vats. Higher vat will go down to the lower vat, down to the lower vat, down to the lower vat. Three in Louisiana, and the indigo was of inferior quality, which they said in the book about Toussaint. They had indigo here, it just wasn't as vibrant. It wasn't as vibrant as the indigo that was grown in Haiti. The land was richer in Haiti. They didn't have to deal with as much swamp area in Haiti as they did here in Louisiana. But it was one of the few export staples of the 18th century Louisiana. And one of the skills regularly listed on slave inventories was that of indigo makers. Indigotier, which is an indigo maker. And although 20 tobacco workers were brought from France in 1718 on the Le Comte de Toulouse, mortality was high among skilled workers brought from France, and Africans no doubt also contributed their knowledge of cultivation and processing of tobacco. Slaves were commonly used as medical doctors and surgeons in 18th century Louisiana, and they were skilled in herbal medicines and were often better therapists than the French doctors, who are always described as surgeons. Now, Dupratz wrote that the slave doctor belonging to the plantation of the King of New Orleans had taught him to cure all illnesses to which women are subject, because these black women are no more exempt than white women. And this slave doctor had an effective cure for scurvy before 1734, and the year Dupratz left Louisiana. And first, he treated the pain. Then he made a paste from the iron rust soaked in lemon juice and herbs, which he placed on the patient's gums, and it at all times except when the patient ate. Every day, the patient drank 2 pints of tea made with lemon juice and herbs, and he recommended against dieting. And the patient was to eat good food often, but in small quantities. And evidently, this cure was ignored in Louisiana, where it would have been easy to administer. And there were so many oranges growing there that the settlers allowed them to rot on the trees. And as late as 1779, scurvy among the newly settled Canary Islanders was attributed to eating salt meat. Now, although some of the newly arrived Africans ran off to the Indians, most of them worked to build the new colony. And when the eagerly awaited African slaves debarked, they were put to work as soon as possible, and they cleared, ditched, drained and cultivated the lands of their masters, and built their levees, buildings, and fences, cut trees and trimmed wood, and in their copious spare time engaged in public work projects in New Orleans and elsewhere, clearing land, building and restoring the levees, digging drainage ditches and canals, and constructing docks and public buildings. Since the slaves could not cultivate the land for 4 or 5 months out of the year, it was suggested that they be employed cutting trees and trimming wood to export to the French islands and to France. And the Company of the Indies was asked to facilitate this trade with the French West Indies. Now, the masters was urged not to make their newly arrived slaves work for several months. However, the Company of the Indies demanded 30 days of corvée, labor of public works, for each slave purchased by private individuals. And by 1782, the slaves were clearing land at both ends of New Orleans, from the Mississippi River to the Bayou Saint Jean, or Saint Jean. It's Jean, Saint Jean. And removing trees and underbrush to allow air to reach the town and the windmill there, and to create pastures for cattle. There, they dug a canal from the windmill to Bayou Saint Jean, and Louisiana officials had to defend themselves against charges of erroneous exactions upon the labor of newly arrived slaves. Now, Pierre explained that they never meant to demand 30 days of labor from the slaves as soon as they arrived. They always had intended to make demands for labor only in pressing circumstances and during times when the settlers had no more work to do. He explained that when he demanded labor during the first month of the slave's arrival in the colony, he meant that the masters should furnish the labor of the slave who had already been in the colony for a while, and not that of the newly arrived slave. And in the 1730s, a privately owned slave whose owner stated that he was in good health when drafted to dig the ditch around the company's ramparts, collapsed while working, was brought to the hospital and died, and his owner asked for restitution, and it is clear that the slaves got no rest. And aside from being overworked, the slaves were underfed, and the masters expected the company to feed their slaves while they were engaged in public works. But the officials of the company refused to do so, and ordering the masters to feed them until a ruling on this matter was received. Now, the slaves belonging to the company were fed inadequate and tainted food, and in 1725, it was recognized that 1 pound of corn a day was not enough for the negroes of the company to eat. And the Superior Council decided to improve the nourishment of these slaves in order to make them work harder. They increased their ration to 1.5 pounds of corn in addition to a ½ pound of lard, which they gave the slaves because it was tainted, and neither the slaves nor the troops would eat it. But by giving this tainted lard to the slaves, the council reasoned it would not go to waste. I guess that's where they started making the cornbread from too, like Jiffy using lard. The Africans arrived in an extremely fluid society where socio-racial hierarchy was ill-defined and hard to enforce. And French Louisiana was a cold, brutal world where contempt for the poor that characterized pre-revolutionary France was aggravated by the dangers and deprivations of frontier life. In the pre-revolutionary France, the poor and all women had few rights, and many of the French soldiers and settlers were the rejects of the French society, and some of them because they would not accept their place in society, others because of chronic drunkenness and other destructive and self-destructive habits. In French Louisiana, the most brutal tortures were inflicted by the state upon whites as well as upon blacks. And a slave in Africa probably had more rights than a poor white in France, and certainly more rights than a poor white in French Louisiana. Now, slaves in French Louisiana, including those who accepted their status, had a strong sense of justice and demanded their rights within the framework of slavery. And recaptured runaways consistently explained that they left because they were overworked, underfed, threatened, assaulted, and maimed by their masters. And some of them demonstrated sophisticated knowledge and of their rights under the Code Noir. Now, evidence from New Orleans during the 1720s indicates that two instances of interracial marriages, a white man married to a black woman and another white man to a mulatto woman. One document from 1723 mentions that a French locksmith and his black wife were suspects in a theft. Other records show that a French gunsmith named Pinet was deported from Senegal to Louisiana for an unspecified crime. His wife, an African mulattress, along with her 3 slaves, followed him to Louisiana as a passenger aboard the slave ship La Galathe. Now, they embarked at Goree, and all of them survived the voyage. And there are hints of less formal relationships. A black woman, Marie Angelique dit Isabelle, was freed by Cavaness, and he had brought her from the Company of the Indies and paid cash for her. And she owned a desirable lot of on Royal Street, which she sold to Joseph de Breuil in 1739 for 600 livres cash, and Francois Dissaboy, whose family lived in Brittany, willed all his personal belongings and any wages owed him to a black woman belonging to LaRue for her faithful care of him during his illness. And in 1737, Francois Trudeau, a member of the Superior Council, asked to be allowed to free a black woman named Geneton for her zeal and fidelity in his service, and provided she continued to serve him until he died. And Joseph Mounier freed a black slave girl named Marie, whom he had raised, and she was 11 or 12 years old. Now, Mounier, who was about to leave for the Chickasaw Wars, explained that he granted her freedom in recognition of her affection and her services, not knowing if he will ever return. Now, a free population of African descent emerged quite early in New Orleans, and the earliest record encountered of the free blacks in New Orleans dated from 1722. Now, LaRose was sentenced to flogging and incarceration for 6 years for stealing from the warehouse of the Company of the Indies. He was not re-enslaved, but Jean-Baptiste, a free black, was re-enslaved for stealing shirts. And there are several cases for free black men who married black women slaves and paid for their freedom through years of labor. Now, John Mingo, an English free black from Carolina, married Therese, a slave on the estate managed by Darby, and the marriage license was issued by Darby's permission. And Mingo contracted to pay as much as he could manage each year toward her price of 1,500 livres. And Darby was to supply her rice, her corn, her beans, and sweet potatoes, as well as her clothing. And any children born to the couple would be free. And when her total price was paid, she would also be free. And 2 years later, in 1729, Mingo and Therese signed a contract for him to oversee slaves in the cultivation of tobacco, cotton, and other crops. Now, Therese was to engage in women's work. Women's work. We read about that when we was reading about Tobit's wife. When Tobit went blind from when that sparrow shit in his eye, his wife took on women's work. Mingo was to receive 300 francs per year plus 8% of the produce, and except for the increase of blacks and cattle. And Therese was to receive 200 francs a year payable to Darby until Mingo's contract to purchase her was discharged. Now, Mingo supplied Darby with supplies and construction services, which Darby refused to acknowledge, and Darby evidently seized Therese, and the dispute was settled, and Therese was returned to her husband. Now, Francois Tauku, a free black of the Senegal Wolof nation who had been emancipated for his services in the Natchez War, agreed in 1737 to work for Charity Hospital for 6 years in return for the freedom of his wife, Marie Aran, and a slave belonging to the hospital. He claimed a credit of 450 francs, the back wages owed him by the St. Julian estate, to be applied to the price of his wife. And Jean-Baptiste Marly, a free black, agreed to serve an infantry officer at Pointe-Coupee for 3 years as a cook in return for the freedom of Marley's wife, Venus. We're going to read one more paragraph. And we'll stop there. So we go ahead and get some more work out of here before the hour's up. The Superior Council confirmed freedom granted to Cazeneuve and his wife to 2 of their slaves, provided that they served Roussin and his wife for 2 years. Now, Benavelle freed his black slaves, Georges and Maurice, Georges' wife, in recognition of their good and faithful service for 26 years. And they were evidently among the first group of slaves that Benavelle brought to Louisiana from Havana. Now, George, or Jorge, died shortly after Benavelle agreed to free them. And in 1737, a family of 6 slaves, husband, wife, and 4 children, were freed under the will of their master, and their emancipation was confirmed by Governor Benavelle. A New Orleans free black named Scipion signed a contract with Francois Trudeau for 1 year, hiring himself to go to Illinois in Madame Laboussinier's boat as rower, or in any other capacity as needed. And on return from his trip, he was to serve Trudeau until the year had expired, and he was paid 200 livres. And 3 years later, Scipion contracted to take charge of the René Petit's barge going to Illinois and to unload the cargo there. And he was paid 50 livres in advance and 200 livres upon arrival. Yeah, I think we'll stop there. Well, I guess because of the amount of the survival rate or the mortality rate here in French Louisiana, as they called it, I guess it was easier for a slave to buy his way to freedom, more so than in other places like Guadeloupe or Martinique, or even in Haiti. Haiti, a slave could buy his freedom. I don't really know what the price difference was offhand, but I do remember reading that it was quite a few slaves that bought their freedom, which is how they ended up with land when it came time for the French Revolution, and when the mulattoes and the free blacks were, and they also had slaves as well. They freed themselves, bought land, and they also bought slaves. which I'm pretty sure this is what the same thing that some of these freed blacks in Louisiana did as well. They probably freed themselves, bought slaves, and bought land because they were dealing with the Code Noir as well, which was pretty much, I want to say, the same Code Noir that was in place in in uh, Haiti, at the time. At the same time of the French, of the Haitian Revolution, which was around, I want to say, 1718, I believe. So it's around the same time as the slavery and the that we're reading about here in New Orleans in 1737. It's still within those years. I see in the next paragraph or so they're going to talk about the 1720s, which is still around the 1718s. It's 2 years after that. So we see that those times was a hard time for France within multiple areas. They had the French Revolution going on, I want to say. They also had the Haitian Revolution going on, and they also had the high mortality rates and death and the expenses that were very expensive. They said it was very expensive to try to hold on to French Louisiana, which is why they ended up giving it away in the Louisiana Purchase. So they was being bombarded on all sides. You could say it was too many different angles that was being that was coming at France and at the French. So certain things had to be done that they may not have wanted to do, like sell off the land. You know, even to the point of where they granted certain within reading about Toussaint, granted certain leeways, to them because they just couldn't deal. They just didn't have enough power and enough money at the time to really deal with all the things that was going on. They couldn't send. They couldn't send the armies. They was already deporting a lot of people to Louisiana. Whatever. They was pretty much. They was France was like ICE. Whatever undesirables they had, if you was a homeless man or if you was a prostitute or a drunkard or anything of it, just I forget what they call it, a person who don't do shit. They was deporting you. They was deporting you. It didn't have to be that you was black. It didn't have to be that you was a slave. You was just getting deported. If you weren't doing or living up to some type of help with France, I guess to help push and build their finances up at the time, your ass was getting deported. Your ass was getting deported. I wanted to say belligerent, but it's not belligerent. Because belligerent is just, I want to say somebody who speaks a certain type of way. What is the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it right now anyway. I'll keep thinking. But hey, we succeeded in the reading. That was part 11. That was part 11. That was the beginning of chapter 5. We had about 5 or 6 pages, I want to say. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were about 6 pages. 6 pages. Yeah, we got about 2 more sessions, maybe. I don't know, man. We'll see, man. We'll see. I think I read pretty good today. I didn't stumble over a lot of words. I read decently. I think I read decently. But the more you practice, the better you get. The more you practice, the better you get. And I'm definitely trying to work on the, as well as the pronunciation, the emphasis, the emphasis, the certain in certain words, the inflection within the reading, the cohesion of how things are read. Um, there's definitely a couple of things I'm definitely trying to work on while reading, to develop my oration skills, and to also develop my just the ability to read faster. Well, when I say faster, I just mean faster for me. I don't want to read too fast. I want to keep a good pace. I want to keep a good pace, so that way, as I'm reading, it can be understood. I don't want to read like I'm reading run-on sentences. Um, there's definitely a it's definitely a skill. It's definitely a skill within reading that has to be honed in. And I definitely think that reading out loud helps to hone in that skill. I would like to be able to, even though my Louisiana accent comes out at times, I would still like to do my best to be able to pick up about any book, pick up about any book, and just read it straight through, because books aren't going to be written in terms of Louisiana talk, you know, especially a lot of older books, children's books, things of that nature. Some words I really can't help, like New Orleans or Louisiana. Some words like that. Even when it get to me saying water, I might say water instead of water. I might say water. Now the water was high. uh, but the more books I assassinate, the better I become. The better I become, the vocabulary expands. The more words we're looking up. But the one thing I haven't been doing as of lately is definitely writing down the words. If I think the word is really important, or I think it's something I really have never heard before, or it turns out to be a good definition, I'll write it down. But I need to get back on that though. And mainly, I believe I have not been writing them down because I haven't been looking up the words the old-fashioned way I started off doing, which was using the actual dictionary and flipping through the actual dictionary pages. When I was using the actual dictionary, that's when I would actually write the words down. But since I've been picking up the Terminator and asking the Terminator, for the words, so that way it could help me get the pronunciation of them, because I've definitely been trying to get the pronunciation right. It it definitely it definitely I don't take the time and put in the effort to write the words down because I'm trying to move so fast. I knew that before me taking the time to write the words, put a pause or a halt in the reading. So I'm not trying to halt as long, knowing that I'm reading for about an hour. I want to get as much in as I can in an hour. So I'm trying to find the definition and the pronunciation of words pretty quickly, so that way we can move forward. We can continue rowing. Just speed over the bump in the road, which would be the word or the definition. But I need to get back to writing it down. It'll definitely help me within the I don't want to say memorization, but the holding of the knowledge of what that word means, which is something I need to do to be able to help expand the vocabulary, which is really, for me, when I read it out loud and when I write it down. If I write it down, I can retain it better. We're like most things. If I have a dream, if I record it, or if I speak the dream as soon as I wake up, if I can record it as soon as I wake up, then I'll be able to retain more of the dream. But if I wait, let's say I go back to sleep, and I wait. I wait till I wake up again. Uh, all praises to the Most High that I do. Man, I won't retain. I won't retain the crucial parts of the dream that I need to remember to make the dream more cohesive and understandable. But anyway, hey, that's been the reading for today. Let's go ahead and get our workout in. I'm gonna do 100 jumping jacks. 100 jumping jacks. I'm not gonna do the flow exercise again. I'm gonna go ahead and do 100 jumping jacks and get that out the way. 100 jumping jacks and 50 push-ups. Let's build our way back up. Build our way back up to 700 things. 700 things alive. Build ourselves back up to that. Slowly but surely. We got 300 things. We'll have 300 things today. But we're going to build our way back up to 700 things. We want to keep moving and be consistent. Consistency is key. Consistency is definitely key. Make sure your eating habits, adjust your eating habits, adjust what you eat, how you eat, when you eat. These things can be done. You can lose the weight. You can lose the weight just like I can lose the weight. Now, I don't think I'm fat, but I got some fat that need to be gone. But I feel fat at times. And I think if I feel fat, shit. I'll be thinking like when I see fat people, I'll be like, man, you ain't never looked in the mirror and saw when you ain't never said to yourself that, man, I'm getting fat, or man, I feel like I'm getting fat. You know, in my mind, those things should be the things that should motivate you at that point. At that point, when you tell yourself, I feel fat, or I think I'm getting fat, or I'm gaining too much weight, I think it's at that moment when you need to start working out, if you haven't been continually doing it. So let's get this in and get it out the way so we can finish off the live for today, man. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Tell your people, man, SHILO out here reading shit, we doing shit. We growing shit. I've been in that garden, man. My cucumber leaves is looking so big and beautiful. Oh, man, they stretching forth, man. All my okra then came up. My onions have rooted, and they shooting out the green tops out of them now. Man, my tomatoes are really growing. They growing fast. My corn is growing fast and getting taller. Man, things is looking beautiful. My watermelons came, man. I got 20 watermelon seeds that sprouted. And hopefully, man, I get watermelons from all of them. I'm hoping to get watermelons from all of them. I definitely want this to be a good watermelon year, where I can eat watermelons all year without, because watermelons is high right now in the store. Watermelons down here is damn near $9, $8 and some change for a little bitty watermelon. A little bitty one. Oh man, hell no. So if I can grow me some watermelons, I need to go put me some more seeds down today. My grandfather gave me 2 big banana peppers. So I think I'm gonna try to take the seeds out the banana peppers today and put some banana peppers down. Put some more down and see what's up. But anyway, let's get the exercising in. Let's get the jumping jacks going. And jumping jacks and 50 more push-ups. And that'll be 300 things for this episode, for part 11 of Reading with SHILO. And we're going to get out of here. I might come back here in just a second after I cut this live off. Since the sun's starting to come out, I might come back and do rise and scripts. Oh, my back. Oh, my back. shit. Hit the road, Jack. Shit. Fuck it. Let's get 100 jumping jacks out the way, man. I'm trying to work on this area. This the area, all right? That middle part need to depart. Depart from me. Shit. As rice and gravy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Put my hips move. 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 70, 91, 2, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, 8, 9, 80, 81, 82, 3, 84, 5, 86, 87, 88, 9, 90, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 7, 98, 99, 100. Whew. Let's get these 50. 50 of them. 25 up. 25 down. 25 counting up and 25 counting down. 50 push-ups. 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 2, 4, 25. 25 down. Let's get 25 down. $25, 24, 23, 22, 1, 20, 19, 18, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. We in that thing, baby. Whew, we in that thing. 300 things for the day. It's a good start. It's a good start. Whew, 300 things. Oh, shit. 300 things. And something, like I said, something is better than nothing, man. You're not going to see no improvement if you keep sitting on your ass. The same goes for me. I will not see any improvement in what I want to see within myself if I sit on my ass. That comes to the reading. If I sit on my ass and I don't read, I won't see an improvement in the reading. If I sit on my ass and don't get up and move my body, exercise, I won't see no improvement in the weight loss or the gains that I want to see within myself. We have all we need to succeed. You have all you need to succeed. I have all I need to succeed. As long as we have breath to breathe, which you do. If you're watching me, you got breath to breathe. All praises. All praises to the Most High. You have breath to breathe, so that means you have all you need to succeed. So the objective is to succeed. Succeed at little things and work your way up to succeeding at big, man. Succeed at little and work your way to big. Now, sometimes it may be harder I understand, or easier said than done, as some people will say. But it don't mean that it can't be done. It still can be done. It's all on you. You do bullshit. You succeed at doing bullshit. Why don't you succeed at doing some good shit? And once again, if not for you, then succeed for those that come after you. Remember, people watching you. People are watching you. The little ones are watching you. Other people, little ones are watching you, whether it be your little nephews, your nieces, your little cousins, your little brothers, your little sisters. They're all looking at you. They're watching the things that you do on the daily. Some of them want to be like you. Some of them notice the little things, the little innuendos that you do, the little things you say. They might notice the shit that nobody else notices because of the you're like a hero to them. You know, the favorite uncle, the favorite auntie, the favorite cousin, the favorite big brother, the favorite big sister. You're being watched. So it's better to set a better example. Set a better example for those that's coming after you than you may have had. Maybe you didn't have the example, but so what? So what, you didn't have it. Be the example. You be the example that you didn't have, so that way the ones that come after you are not able to say the same thing you said. Let them be different. Let them say different. Let them be better. It starts with us. It starts with you. It starts with you yourself. So put yourself in a good position, and while putting yourself in a good position, you will put those that come after you in a good position. We just got to keep moving. Keep moving. One day at a time, one book at a time for me and those who follow me. One book at a time, one part at a time, one rowing session at a time, man, one chapter at a time, one page at a time, paragraph, sentence, line, here a little, there a little, until we can seek and find the treasures that have been left behind, something that we can apply and store in our minds, and hopefully, in the end, we can grow and be some divine. Shit, we are that. You are divine. You just gotta let it come out. You gotta let that light shine. Come on, let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's hop to it, man. So shalom, everybody. I hope that y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Wonderful start to your day. This has been part 11. Once again, we'll come back next time with part 12 of Africans in Colonial Louisiana, the sea of pages that have been laid to us by Mrs. GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall. So far, it's a lot of damn information. It's a lot of damn information. You know, which once again, I can see. And I can see that this might have been like a history class or part of a social studies or something like that. We're going to read about 370 something pages. Yeah, the book, what we're going to read is 380 pages altogether. And we are on page 130. We're on page 130. So, and we're reading to 380. So we got 250 pages left, man. We ain't even really reached the halfway point yet. Yeah, we haven't reached the halfway point yet. It probably won't be until after we're into chapter 6. Chapter 6, or maybe even chapter 7, we will have reached the halfway point of the book. But we got to keep pushing. Like I say, one day at a time, man. One day at a time, one session at a time. Once again, this has been part 11. Part 11 of Miss GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall's book, man. Like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your people, man, we out here. Getting better. Better. Shalom, everybody. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Be on the lookout. I'll come to you right after this. I'll start up another live so we can do rides and scripts. And then that'll be it for until later on today, or at least this afternoon. We'll come back this afternoon or later on today with part 12 of Africans in Colonial, Louisiana. But we'll start off the book of Judith is what we're going to do in Rise and Scripts next. So, shalom. I'm Shallow, baby. I'm out here. Shallow out. Till next time.